Hello and welcome to Knicks Lore, where we take a deep dive into Knicks history. I'm your local historian and Knicks fan, Big Nick Burt, here to tell you the stories behind the hardwood and the hoops. Last week, Knicks fans were devastated to find out they're selecting 11th in the draft. Today, I will not focus on who the Knicks will pick at 11, but who chose to be number 11 for the Knicks. It is tempting to look at iconic players selected at 11, like Allen Houston, Klay Thompson, or Reggie Miller, and make an argument for whoever is on your draft big board. But I find draft position has as much effect on a player's success as everyday luck. Therefore, I am resisting the urge to look ahead at what could be, and instead I want to look back at what was. I want to highlight the 22 players who have worn number 11 for the Knicks. The first half of this video will highlight players from 1946 to 1988. Because these players are often forgotten, I did my best to find photos and videos of them playing. For the second half of the video, from 1988 to the present day, I will only show photos of these players because highlight videos are readily available across the internet. Now with all that being said, let's open up the book on some Knicks lore. The inaugural season of the New York Knicks saw 3 players wear number 11. Jake Weber was the first to wear number 11 for the Knicks as their starting center for the inaugural game in Toronto. Weber was born in Rushville, Indiana, March 18, 1918. He went to Purdue University and played in both the NBL and NBA from 1945 to 1947. His recorded career stats are lackluster. But it should be noted that rebounds, blocks, and steals were not recorded yet, and as the center we can assume he probably would get a few blocks, a few steals, a few rebounds, right, at least. Jack Weber, he stood at 6'6", and just like today, he was replaced by a taller center early in the year. His player rights were sold to the Providence Steamrollers after only a month with the Knicks. Dick Murphy played in the inaugural game for the Knicks, but to start the season, he wore the number 15. Once Weber was traded in late November, Murphy switched to number 11 and wore it until he was traded. Murphy was born March 10, 1921 in New York City. He went to Manhattan College, where he is honored in the Athletic Hall of Fame. During his career, he played for both the NBA and ABL and put up mediocre stats. Butch Van Breda Kolff, who was picked up in February 1947, wore 11 until the following season when Dick Holub came to the team and Van Breda Kolff changed to 17. He was born October 28, 1922 in Glen Ridge, New Jersey, and went to Princeton University. He had a mediocre playing career that he converted into a long and mostly fruitful coaching career. He won several national and conference championships as a college coach, but fell short during his 2 NBA Finals appearances with the Lakers from 67 to 69. Breda Kolff is notable as butting heads with Wilt Chamberlain as head coach of the Lakers and having a 16-day, 7-game stint as the Suns head coach.
I was a go-between in Seattle when Van Breda Kolff and Chamberlain were almost coming to blows, and we had to pull them apart.
Dick Holub was drafted by the Knicks as the 5th pick in the 1947 draft. He took number 11 from Breda Kolff and only played 1 season. He was born October 29, 1921 in Racine, Wisconsin. He went to Long Island University, Brooklyn in 1940 and took a break to join the Air Force in 1942. When he went back to college, he was the team's leading scorer that caught the eye of the New York Knicks. He had a good playing career for the Knicks and spent 4 years in the NBL while coaching at the Bergen Junior College in Teaneck. He began his coaching career at Bergen Junior College in Teaneck, and then he moved on to Fairleigh Dickinson University, where he coached for 17 years while teaching English. Harry Gallatin was a Hall of Fame player who was drafted by the Knicks in 1949, where he wore number 11 until 1957 when he was traded to the Fort Wayne Pistons. Gallatin was born April 26, 1927 in Roxana, Illinois. He went to Truman College for physical education while leading his team to a 53-4 season. Harry was nicknamed the Horse, and for good reason. I won't read his stats, but I will take a moment here to let you glance over them. It is safe to say, at only 6'6", he was playing well above his height. As a player, he set Knicks franchise record for playing 610 consecutive games. He led the league in rebounds and is still top 5 all-time rebounders for the Knicks. As a coach, he was awarded the very first Coach of the Year trophy in 1963. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1991. Jumpin' Johnny Green was drafted 6th overall by the Knicks in 1959. He wore number 11 until he was traded for Walt Bellamy in 1965. He was born December 8, 1933 in Dayton, Ohio. He went to Michigan State, where he was among the top 2 all-time career rebounding list. He had a long NBA career, playing from 59 to 73. He played from when he was 26 years old to when he was 39. He even led the league in field goal percentage at age 36 and 37. In 1962, he set the Knicks record for 3 consecutive games with 20-plus rebounds. At 6'5", he sits top 10 in total career rebounds for the Knicks. Neil Johnson was drafted by the Bullets, but traded to the Knicks early in the 1966-67 season. He wore 11 for 2 seasons with the Knicks, but was then chosen by the Suns in the 1968 expansion draft. He was born April 17, 1943 in Jackson, Michigan. He went to Creighton University, where he made a reputation as an enforcer. He made a solid NBA career, averaging pretty good numbers, and committed one of the most devastating punches the ref has ever seen on a court. And it's also notable that this quote comes from the book Loose Balls by Terry Pluto, that was published 3 years after Malice in the Palace. So safe to say he was throwing pretty strong hands. There was no number 11 from 68 to 74 when the Knicks won 2 of their titles. The only 2. No number 11. But in 1974, the Knicks drafted Jesse Dark, and he wore 11 for just 1 season. He got some playoff experience and was promptly cut to free up roster space. He was born September 2nd, 1951 in Richmond, Virginia. He went to Virginia Commonwealth University. Dark could have had a better NBA career had he been drafted to a different team. His career stats are unremarkable, so I dug up a nice defensive clip.
Moving into second place behind Jack Nicholls.
He gets the block, and it's just a nice little solid play. It's not much footage from when he played, so I couldn't be too picky. But this guy was a fighter. He fought hard to earn a spot, and it was reported in October 7th, 1975, that he left practice needing an x-ray on his left cheek. But unfortunately, he was stuck deep in the rotation behind Frazier and Monroe, so Dark never really got the chance to thrive on the Knicks. But he fought hard, but he still got cut October 23rd. Hall of Famer Bob McAdoo was traded to the Knicks in December 1976 from the Buffalo Braves. He wore number 11 until he was traded February 1979 to Boston. McAdoo was born September 25th, 1951 in Greensboro, North Carolina. He went to both Vincennes University and the University of North Carolina. He won the NJCAA Men's Division I Championship in 1970 and went on to a very good career in the NBA. I'm just going to show you these stats because I don't want to drone on reading all his numbers because it's just impressive. So I put them up here and you can take a look for yourself. There are a lot of highlights to see of Bob McAdoo on several teams in different leagues, but I really like this catch, pump fake, one dribble, step back jumper. McAdoo won 2 championships as a player and 3 as an assistant coach. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2000. Stewart Granger signed with the Knicks in 1986. He played from Halloween to January 6, 1987, allegedly sidelined with nagging Achilles soreness. He was born October 27, 1961, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. He went to Villanova from 79 to 83. Granger had a mediocre career. He got to the Knicks by competing against Patrick Ewing's college teammate Michael Jackson. Hubie Brown ultimately made the decision to keep Granger instead of Jackson because he's a bit taller and he could play both point guard and shooting guard. Granger and Tucker were meant to be the spark plug off the bench, and here's a clip of Granger getting the rebound, pushing the pace to hit Tucker for the transition 3. Granger was cut January 1987, but undeterred, he went on to have a successful basketball career in the U.S., Philippines, and Sweden. The next season saw 2 players wear number 11, and both were named Toney. Tony White began the season in Chicago, but was waived after only 2 games. The Knicks picked him up, and he wore 11 for the Knicks until December 10, 1987, when he was waived. He was born February 15, 1965, in Charlotte, North Carolina. He went to the University of Tennessee. Though his NBA career was short-lived and pretty mediocre in stats, he went on to have a very long and successful career in Spain. White was the top scorer in the Spanish League in 1998. I couldn't find any footage or picture of White with the Knicks, so I found some documentary footage of White breaking the Tennessee scoring record.
We're going to keep you in the games, and we want you to break the record.
Rebound taken away, Jenkins. Jenkins' lead pass will come to White. White going for Tennessee all the way for a layup. It is good, and a block is called. White scores and is blocked. White with his 40th point. He'll go to the line.
White was cut from the Knicks to make room for Billy Donovan. Sedric Toney signed a 10-day contract on March 13, 1988. He was signed to a full contract at the end of that contract, and then he was selected by the Charlotte Hornets in the June 1988 expansion draft, only to be cut by October. He was born April 13, 1962, in Columbus, Mississippi. He went to Western Nebraska Community College and the University of Dayton. He had a lackluster NBA career. There's little to no footage of him on the Knicks, but I was able to find a clean 3-pointer assisted from Mark Jackson.
Toney from deep. Yes.
Toney went on to have a career in color commentary for the ESPN college games. The Knicks received Rod Strickland as a future pick in a trade including Charles Oakley from the Bulls. He wore number 11 for the Knicks from 88 to 90 when he was traded to the Spurs in a win-now move that was considered short-sighted even in 1990. He was born July 11, 1966 in the Bronx, New York. He went to DePaul University and had a tumultuous NBA career, bouncing between 10 teams in 17 years. Strickland's career stats are solid, and I urge everyone to look up the Bronx Jelly unblockable layup package, because a short clip here won't do him justice, and neither does his stat sheet. He went on to be the program manager for the NBA G League's professional path. In 1994, Derek Harper was traded from the Mavs to the Knicks. He wore 11 until 1996 when he was released. He's the only player to be drafted 11th and wear number 11 for the Knicks, though he was not drafted by the Knicks. Harper was born October 13, 1961, in Elberton, Georgia. He went to the University of Illinois. His NBA career is deceptively quiet, but he consistently played 80-plus games a season and made All-NBA defensive team 2 times in 1987 and 1990. Dallas even retired his number 12 and gave him a broadcaster job, but to us Knicks fans, he will always be number 11. In 2004, Jamal Crawford was traded from the Bulls to the Knicks. He wore 11 for 4 years before being traded for Al Harrington. He was born March 20th, 1980 in Seattle, Washington. He went to the University of Michigan, and he got the nickname J Crossover. He won Sixth Man of the Year 3 times, and his stats are very solid. But during his time with the Knicks, the organization was deeply divided between players, coaches, management, and the owner. Harvey Araton wrote June 27, 2006, in the headline, "It's hard to believe, but Dolan gets it right." And to us, it really was hard to believe. He said, Larry Brown had to go. Isaiah Thomas has to coach. Dolan said, "This is the team, he made his bed." Dolan told the reporters, "At this time next year, Isaiah will be with us if we can all sit here and say that this team has made significant progress towards its goal of eventually becoming an NBA championship team. If we can't say that, then Isaiah will not be here." The Knicks didn't make the championship, and Coach Isaiah Thomas, along with Crawford, were jettisoned. In September 2009, Marcus Landry was signed by the Knicks. By February, he was traded with Nate Robinson to Boston. Landry was born November 1st, 1985 in Milwaukee. He excelled at the University of Wisconsin, but went undrafted in the NBA. The Knicks signed him, but he barely got off the bench. He went on to have a long career in the NBA, EuroLeagues, China, and Korea. He was the Italian League's MVP and scoring champion in 2017, and the Korean League All-Star in 2019. Andy Rautins was drafted by the Clippers in 2008, but traded to Denver as a future asset that they then traded to the Knicks for Ronaldo Bachman in 2010. In December 2011, he was traded to the Mavs for Chandler. Rautins was born November 2nd, 1986 in Syracuse, New York. He went to Syracuse University. Rautins only played 5 games for the Knicks. He was deep on the bench behind Tony Douglas, Henry Walker, and while Gallinari, Felton, and Landry Fields were starting. Though his Knicks career was limited, he has gone on to have a successful career in Turkey, Greece, Italy, and Germany, and he's still playing in Greece today. Ronnie Brewer was signed as a free agent in 2012. He wore 11 until February 2013 when he was traded for cash and a future pick. He was born March 20th, 1985 in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and he went to the University of Arkansas. Brewer had a decent college and NBA career, but unfortunately injuries plagued his on-court career. Since then, he's made a career as a recruiting coordinator at his alma mater. Samuel Dalembert was traded from the Mavs to the Knicks in October 2014 for Tyson Chandler. He wore 11 until he was cut in January 2015. He was born May 10, 1981 in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. He went to Seton Hall University and played professional basketball in the USA and China. Dalembert had good career stats, but was only with the Knicks for a few short months during a tumultuous season. Ricky Ledo signed his first 10-day contract with the Knicks March 19, 2015. He got a second 10-day contract on the 29th, and then a full contract on April 8th. He was then waived on July 2015. He was born September 10, 1992 in Providence, Rhode Island. He went to Providence College, but was deemed academically ineligible to play. He declared for the draft in 2013 and went on to have a successful career internationally. Ledo was the second player to wear 11 during the abysmal 2014-2015 season, and he's currently playing in China today. Cleanthony Early was drafted by the Knicks in 2014, but wore 17 his first year. In 2015, he wore 11 until October 2016, when he was waived after missing 3 months after being shot in the knee. He was born April 17th, 1991 in the Bronx, New York. He went to SUNY Sullivan and Wichita State before being drafted late in the first round by the Knicks. Early got limited NBA playing time, so his stats are nothing special. However, he continued his career internationally when he played for Japan, Hungary, Saudi Arabia, France, Taiwan, and South Africa, where he still plays today. Frank Ntilikina is the most recent player to wear number 11 for the Knicks. He was drafted by the Knicks as the 8th pick in the 2017 draft and then left after his rookie contract expired. He was born July 28, 1998 in Ixelles, Belgium. Frank did not go to college, but instead jumped right into the EuroLeague, where he garnered NBA attention. His NBA stats are unremarkable, but he has several accolades in Europe. Frank is still in the league, and his fans are hopeful he will have a long and prosperous NBA career. Thank you for listening to Knicks Lore. This has been a timeline of success, broken dreams, and perseverance. I like the group of guys who wore number 11 here, so I made a little dream team. My New York Knicks all-time number 11's team would have Bob McAdoo at the center, Harry Gallatin at the power forward, Johnny Green at the small forward, Rod Strickland bringing up the ball at point guard, and Jamal Crawford at shooting guard. I think it's pretty excellent. I think it suffers from not having enough shooting for today's game, but it would be a pretty physical and fast, agile team that could maybe get it done. So thank you for stopping by Knicks Lore. I'm Big Nick Burt, your Knicks historian with the Big Nick Energy. Thank you.